Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi stated after he saw the scores and Democratic Party is in top with 41%. So Renzi stated that hope defeated rage. It's a trust mandate, let's say so, given by Italians to this young Prime Minister and his cabinet. Nevertheless, the majority in the European Parliament will belong to the, how do they say, European People's Party. My question is, and maybe we can explain, how do this work, the relation in between the national institutions and the European ones, so that we can understand why is so important this result in the European Parliament?
Well, first of all, I think that for the Italian vote came the clear message of a mandate, not only to go on with the internal reforms in Italy, that we started just 3 months ago, as you said, with a new young Prime Minister and government, as the one in Romania, but also to bring this wave of change and hope at the European level. And the reason why in Italy we had this kind of result is this hope that we managed to give to the Italian electorate that change is possible also in Europe. I think that a vote against the European project, against the European system that has been so strong in other countries, again, not in Romania, is partly the consequence of the fact that citizens in Europe are less confident on the possibility to change policies and to have a European system that can respond to their needs. The real answer to these anti-European movements is actually making Europe work and delivering change to the European citizens. And I think that with 2 countries like Italy and Romania, especially Italy starting the presidency of the European Union next July, we can start changing the system and the policies in Europe together.
Like how?
Well, trying to simplify the assessment. Don't forget the fact that many decades the land of the European Union was a prosperous one. It was a good life for the European citizens. The fact that we are very close to overcome a very serious economic crisis. So this generated consequences, and we saw, and now we see, we are going to see within the European Parliament xenophobic, populistic, extremist, anti-European voices, political voices.
Eurosceptic.
We can call it politely Eurosceptic, but when someone is adopting an anti-Semitic attitude, this is not Eurosceptic. So this is why our main interest, and it was part of the bilateral discussion today in Bucharest, is to work together to make once again a very successful European project. And the fact that in Italy, but also in Romania, the government obtained in the end a very good score. Practically half of the national mandates in both Italy and Romania were obtained by the main political parties within the coalition in power. It's saying a very simple thing. The economy in Italy under this government is relaunching, is growing. It's the same in Romania, so that means if you have solutions, political, economic, social solutions, you can once again reinforce the confidence of the people in the European project. The integration is the solution, not the Eurosceptical, not the xenophobic attitudes.
We are talking now about the EPP group, which is claiming now the European Commission presidency. How do you feel about that?
First of all, for us, what is important is not so much who is going to be the person President of the Commission, but what the Commission is going to propose as policies. So we have suggested to focus on the political program of the Commission and the relations between the Commission and the Parliament. We believe that there was a mandate from the voters in Europe that was partially clear, because yes, the EPP family in Europe got a majority, but not a very large majority, and the situation country to country is very much different. What is important is that now we don't go through months of discussions on who does what, blocking the institutions. I would say that #1 priority is making the transition smooth, making the institutions work efficiently, effectively from day one, and with a clear mandate of turning the page. I think the main message that also the EPP voters gave somehow, and I think that Angela Merkel understood it very well as well, is that, okay, we've done the austerity policies now, we have to move on. For good or for bad, now it's time for investments and growth.
Italy is taking over the EU presidency in July, and it's a very difficult moment right now. I'm talking about the Ukraine crisis, I'm talking about the potential gas crisis. We were talking about this increasing Euroscepticism, let's call it like this. What would be your priorities, taking into account this moment?
First is helping Europe to change. Bring in the change that we are building in Italy at the European level. Making of these 6 months not 6 months of transition, but 6 months that start a new phase for Europe. First with the economic decisions. Finding concrete mechanisms, and we can work on them from the very beginning in July, to have flexibility for investments on the budgets, to strengthen the economic recovery that has started. Second, to have a real and strong European voice in the world, and starting from our area, from the surrounding. East, Ukraine, Balkans, definitely a priority for Italy, traditionally, and especially now. We know that the best way of stabilizing a country or a region is integrating. And this is the way. Absolutely.
Romania has the presidency of the Southeast European process.
It's always very comfortable to have a discussion between the foreign ministers of Italy and Romania, because we have not only the common past and the Latin background and an exceptional political bilateral relationship with a very solid economic tie, but we have common interests and similar political attitudes as concern the big files, European, the neighborhood, and the international files. This is why we have once again underlined the common interest in supporting the EU enlargement process with all the Balkan region. We have discussed it, and we have similar views on the different developments related to the eastern neighbor, and I want to thank to my colleague, the Italian minister, for being open and positive towards the Republic of Moldova and the European path, and we have the same interest as concerned an important role of the European Union in the important international files like the Middle East peace process and some other extremely complicated files.
And let me mention, just to add one issue to the long list of common interests and visions that we have, the full support for the Schengen area. We believe that both Romania and Bulgaria should see this target accomplished in the coming months, and we will put our political weight on achieving that in the coming.
All right, you are discussing about the economic ties. It's my last question. All right, so from this point of view, there's no doubt we have a good relation, great figure of investments here in Romania. But do you think this cooperation might be extended in a way or another in some other sectors?
If you see, the trend is increasing. And I think that, as Titus rightly said, we can count not only on a solid past, which is important, but we can count on a bright future together. We share the roots of our language and of our culture. We share common regional interests, looking at the Balkans, for instance. We share a political vision, I would say, among governments. We even share a generation in terms of government. Our prime ministers and ourselves, I think, are more or less the same age. We share the knowledge, the awareness of the fact that our communities and our investments in our countries, the Romanian investments in Italy and the Italian investments in Romania and our communities, represent an opportunity for our countries.
You don't get any complaints from the Italian businessmen coming here. That's good.
and even those that have been there are positively on the way of getting solved. So I think that basing our relation on a mutual common and constant dialogue, we can solve the problem. We have a relation that allows us to say, listen, there's a problem. Can we solve it? And I think this is the basis for improving.
It's not only institutional, it's based on what? How does it work?
We can also count on the fact that we know each other for quite some time, both with Titus and with the Prime Minister. We share a friendship that comes from a common political background that was there in the past and counts. Because I always say international relations are institutionally based, but when there is also friendship, they work even better.
Well, I cannot say that knowing Federica for the last 12 years and sharing the same values and political principles and values, it's very easy to have a direct communication in dealing institutionally, but also having personal contacts in the support of the main interests of both Italy and Romania. And in foreign affairs, in politics, it's always important to have a direct contact.
Knowing that, how do you sell the opportunities to the Italians?
It's very easy for an Italian and an Italian company to accommodate themselves very easy within the Romanian society and the Romanian market. This is why, because you put this question, the economic question, you'll find that Italy is the first, it's in the top, first of all, starting with the numbers of the national companies investing in our country. It's more than 37,000 Italian companies being present in Romania and doing a profitable business. And it's the second trade partner of Romania, around 12 billion euros trade by every year. It's really something substantial. It doesn't mean that we cannot do even more, even faster. And this was the subject, one of the subjects of our discussion.
Goes the other way around? I mean,
it also goes encouraging the Romanian capital to be much more present on the Italian market and taking the benefit of having such a strong Romanian community living in Italy.